When filming ended in 1977, nobody thought to keep track of where the props went. Costumes were thrown on burn piles. Models were put in boxes and forgotten. Weapons were stripped down and returned to storage. The production wrapped fast. The crew dispersed across multiple countries, and the physical objects that had been used to build that world were treated the same way props had always been treated, as tools that had done their job and were no longer anyone's responsibility. Some of those objects are still missing. The ones that came back have stories attached to them that are almost impossible to believe. $1,057,500 for a gun that was sitting in a parts bin in London for decades, disassembled, unrecognized, stored alongside hundreds of other props that nobody had thought about in years. Han Solo's DL-44 blaster is the most recognized prop firearm in the history of cinema. The weapon that Harrison Ford carried through 2 films, holstered in a quick-draw rig specifically designed to give Han Solo the look of an Old West gunslinger in space. Set decorator Roger Christian came up with the concept. He wanted something that felt like a Western weapon transported to the future, and he found it in the Mauser C96, a German pistol with a distinctive silhouette that read immediately as both familiar and alien. A Hensoldt Wetzlar military scope was added for visual texture. An MG81 flash hider extended the barrel. The result was a prop that looked like it had lived a life before it reached Han Solo's holster. 3 versions were made for A New Hope in 1976. 2 primary props and 1 for stunts and close-up work. When filming ended, all 3 were returned to Bapty & Company, the London prop house that had supplied them, stripped back to their original components, refinished for future use, and absorbed back into general inventory. New props were built for The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi because the originals simply could not be located. Tony Watts acquired Bapty & Company in 1999. Over the following decade, he began going through the company's accumulated inventory, decades of props, parts, and equipment from hundreds of productions. In 2010, he found a scope in an oddments box, a Hensoldt Wetzlar Ziel Dialit 3x scope, the specific piece of German military hardware that had been mounted on Han Solo's blaster for A New Hope. There had only ever been one genuine scope used across all 3 prop versions, transferred between the blasters depending on which was being filmed. Finding it confirmed that at least one of the originals was recoverable. In 2018, the mounting hardware was found. The Mauser C96 base pistol, serial number 2-99415, manufactured between 1915 and 1921, was located in inventory. Its barrel rewelded as required by UK firearms law after production, but otherwise intact, the pieces were reassembled. Authentication was completed. Rock Island Auction Company listed the prop in August 2022 with an estimate of $300,000 to $500,000. Bidding opened, and then it kept going. $1,057,500, a Guinness World Record for the most expensive prop gun ever sold at auction. The only surviving blaster from A New Hope, found in pieces in a London prop house by the man who bought the company without knowing what he was buying. That one was found in pieces. This next one was found in a dress. A crew member took it home from the burn pile. That is the entire reason it still exists. When production on A New Hope wrapped at Elstree Studios in London, the production team did what film productions routinely did with costumes in 1977. They burned them. Sets were destroyed, wardrobes were eliminated. The physical objects that had been used to build a world were disposed of as efficiently as possible once that world had been committed to film. Nobody was thinking about preservation. Nobody was thinking about museums or auctions or cultural heritage. They were thinking about clearing the stage. Princess Leia's white ceremonial gown, the slim-fitting silk dress with the scooped neckline and silver-plated belt that Carrie Fisher wore at the end of A New Hope when Luke and Han received their medals at the Rebel base, was on that pile. Someone on the crew pulled it off before it burned. They took it home to London. They kept it in an attic for more than 4 decades. They did not tell anyone. They did not attempt to sell it. They simply kept it in the way people keep things that feel too significant to throw away even when they cannot fully explain why. The Star Wars costume community knew nothing about it. The people who professionally track and authenticate original trilogy wardrobe had no record of it. Brandon Alinger, the chief operating officer of Propstore, said his team first became aware of its existence roughly 10 to 12 years before it came to auction. Learning that it existed was, he said, simply a moment, a sudden understanding that something the world had assumed was gone was actually still there, in a London attic, intact. The gown is believed to be the only surviving Leia costume from the original film. It was screen-matched to the film and to promotional photographs taken during production. Professional textile conservators performed a museum-caliber restoration, restitching the hem and seams to archival standards. It went to auction in June 2023 with an opening bid of $500,000. The costume that was almost burned. The one that sat in a London attic for 46 years because one person on a film crew made a split-second decision at the end of a long shoot. Expected to fetch up to $2 million. One was in a parts bin. One was saved from a burn pile. What about the one that nobody knew had survived at all, until someone opened a cardboard box in a California garage? In 1978, Industrial Light and Magic moved facilities. The original production in Van Nuys relocated to the San Fernando Valley. During the move, things went missing. Models, components, equipment that had been used in the making of A New Hope and had not been formally cataloged or transferred with any particular care. Among the items that vanished in the chaos of that move were several of the Hero X-Wing models, the 20-inch filming miniatures built by ILM for the Death Star battle sequence in the original film. For 45 years, the visual effects community assumed they were gone. Gene Kozicki, a visual effects historian who had worked at ILM, referred to the missing models in conversations with colleagues as white whales, things you suspected might exist somewhere but could never confirm. He had spent years trying to establish whether any of the Hero X-Wings had survived. Nobody could tell him. Nobody knew. Greg Jane died in 2022. He was one of the most celebrated visual effects artists in Hollywood. Academy Award nominated, responsible for the alien mothership in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, a career spanning decades of landmark productions. He was also quietly a collector of extraordinary things, accumulated over 60 years in the industry and stored across multiple garages and storage units with no formal inventory and no system anyone else could navigate. Kozicki volunteered to help Jane's family go through the collection. He and a small group of colleagues began working through boxes. Most of them contained what you would expect: packing material, equipment, the accumulated evidence of a long career. And then one box felt different. Kozicki scooped out the packing peanuts by hand. The nose of something appeared. He kept going. And there it was, an original Hero X-Wing filming miniature from the 1977 production of Star Wars. Original paint, original blast marks, servo-controlled wings, still functional. 45 years in a cardboard box without anyone knowing it was there. It sold at Heritage Auctions in October 2023 for $3,135,000. The most expensive Star Wars prop ever sold at auction, a record it held until September 2025, when Darth Vader's lightsaber surpassed it. The white whale had been in a cardboard box, in a storage unit, for 45 years. The X-Wing was missing by accident. The next one was almost missing by design. $3,654,000. September 2025. Propstore's Entertainment Memorabilia Live Auction in Los Angeles. Bidding opened at $500,000. The pre-sale estimate was $1 million to $3 million. The bidding did not stop until it had nearly tripled that estimate. Darth Vader's lightsaber is not just the most expensive piece of Star Wars memorabilia ever sold at auction. It is, according to Propstore, the only verified screen-used hero lightsaber from the original Star Wars trilogy to have ever come to public auction. In nearly 50 years of the franchise's existence, with all the items that have surfaced and sold and changed hands, this specific category had never been available. Not once. Other lightsabers have sold. Mark Hamill's Luke Skywalker hero lightsaber from A New Hope sold for $450,000 in 2017. Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan Kenobi lightsaber from The Phantom Menace sold for $125,000 in 2022, but a verified screen-matched hero dueling prop from the original trilogy, the weapon actually used in the filming of the most famous lightsaber duels in the history of cinema, had never been offered publicly. The prop was built from a Micro Precision Products microflash, an English camera flash unit manufactured in the 1950s, modified by the production team with plastic grips, calculator bubbles, and cosmetic wiring. A custom blade mounting system allowed a wooden rod to be inserted during filming, giving the stunt performers and visual effects team a physical reference point for the animated glow added in post-production. The same hilt was used by both David Prowse, who played Vader on screen, and Bob Anderson, the stunt performer who actually executed the lightsaber duels in The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. It has a cracked shroud on the back. One of the grips is broken. The paint is chipped and scratched in multiple places. Every mark on it is evidence of what it was used for. The duel in Cloud City, the revelation in the carbon freezing chamber, the throne room battle in Return of the Jedi. Each imperfection is an argument for authenticity rather than against it. The prop had been in a private collection for decades, never publicly displayed, never previously offered at auction. The bidding war that ended at $3,654,000 was the first time the world had a chance to put a number on it. And the number it settled on broke every record the franchise had ever set, until almost certainly the next one surfaces. The lightsaber came from a private collection. The next item came from Tunisia, from the actual desert buried in the sand. In 1977, the Star Wars production filmed in the desert of Tunisia. The Tatooine sequences, the twin sunset, Luke staring across the dunes, all of it shot on location in one of the most remote and inhospitable filming environments of any major production of that era. The crew endured extreme heat, sandstorms, and logistical challenges that made the Tunisian shoot one of the most difficult stretches of the entire production. For the opening sequence, C-3PO wanders past the bones of a massive desert creature, established in the Star Wars universe as a Krayt Dragon. The bones were not built specifically for the film. They were repurposed props from an old Disney production called One of Our Dinosaurs is Missing, transported to Tunisia, and planted in the Tunisian sand for the shoot. A practical solution to a production problem. Use what was available. When production wrapped, the crew left them there. Not forgotten. Not lost. Just left. In the Tunisian desert, where they have been sitting, slowly being consumed by sand and time since 1977. In 1995, an archaeologist working in the region found pieces of them. The Star Wars community learned about the discovery. Collectors began making the trip to Tunisia to find what remained, fragments that had partially surfaced through natural erosion and wind exposure over 18 years. Pieces have been documented, authenticated through their specific fiberglass composition and location data, and brought to market over the years. A piece of a Star Wars prop, from the actual Tatooine desert location. That has been sitting in the ground since the original film was made, and the crew drove away. Prices for authenticated fragments range from $150 to over $1,800 depending on size and documentation. Not millions, not hundreds of thousands, but real, still there, still in the sand where the crew left them 48 years ago, waiting for someone to dig them out. What about the props that were not left behind, but that everyone assumed had been destroyed? R2-D2 is the most screen-present character in the entire Star Wars franchise. He appears in every film. He was operated by a combination of remote control mechanisms and a performer inside the shell for different shots. Kenny Baker sat inside the full-size unit for scenes requiring physical movement, while radio-controlled versions handled sequences requiring speed or precision. For the original trilogy, multiple versions of the droid existed simultaneously, each built for different purposes and different types of shots. The most significant R2-D2 prop to come to market was the primary hero unit from the original trilogy, originally constructed by a team of prop builders in the UK for the 1977 production. After filming ended, the unit passed through various hands over the decades in ways that were not formally tracked or documented. The informal culture of the original Star Wars production, where props moved between crew members, were stored in personal collections, and were passed along through private arrangements rather than formal transfers, meant that a significant number of original trilogy pieces ended up far from any official archive without anyone at Lucasfilm knowing precisely where they had gone. This unit eventually surfaced in the collection of an American fan who had acquired it through private channels and held it in his personal collection in Northern California for years, in quiet dialogue with Lucasfilm about its provenance and authentication. The prop was examined in detail. The authentication was extensive, screen matching to specific shots across multiple films, technical analysis of the construction methods and materials used in the original UK prop build, comparison with production documentation and photographs. It matched the R2-D2 unit that had appeared across the original trilogy, operated by remote control, and by Kenny Baker in dozens of scenes spanning 3 films, had been sitting in a private collection in California. It sold at Profiles and History in 2017 for $2,760,000. At the time, the highest price ever paid for a Star Wars prop at auction, a record it held until the X-Wing exceeded it 6 years later. The most important droid in cinematic history. In private hands. For decades. While the franchise it starred in became the highest-grossing entertainment property ever created, generating billions of dollars across films, merchandise, theme parks, and streaming, the physical object that started it all was sitting quietly in a California collection, waiting for the world to find it. 6 props. 6 stories about how close the physical history of the most successful franchise in cinema came to disappearing entirely. The pattern across all of them is the same. When A New Hope finished production in 1977, the crew did not believe they were making history. They were making a film that might not work, for a studio that was not fully confident in it, on a budget that required extraordinary improvisation at every turn. The props were tools. Once filming ended, tools get put away, or stripped down, or burned, or left in the desert. The crew members who pulled a dress off a burn pile or packed an X-Wing into a cardboard box, or forgot to return a scope when they broke down a blaster. None of them knew what they were doing at the time. There was no foresight, no investment strategy, no understanding that what they were handling would one day be worth more than most people earn in a lifetime. They were working people at the end of a difficult job, keeping things they wanted to keep, or forgetting to throw away things they should have thrown away, or leaving bones in a desert because nobody was going to pay to ship them home. And because of all of that, the carelessness, the informality, the complete absence of any plan, these things still exist. History survived because nobody was paying attention to it. And the world is still finding out what that history is worth, because more of it is out there, in boxes, in storage units, in private collections, in the hands of people who may or may not know what they are sitting on.